Isn't it crazy what a wild, busy world that we live in? People just feel like they don't have enough time, they're overworked, they're underpaid, they don't travel enough, they don't see their family enough. And truth is, there's some really scary statistics out there. In fact, 5 graphs I'm going to share with you today that will reveal how people actually spend their time. And after you see these 5 graphs, your life's never going to be the same again. If they change your life the way they've changed mine, you're going to readjust your life and you're going to demand the balance that is actually available. So I'm absolutely obsessed with time. Not because people say time is money, because I don't think that most people actually believe that. That's attributed back to Benjamin Franklin, who originally said that back in the 1700s. The truth is that we value money far more than we do time, which is why we work more for it. And if you want to know what people's priorities are, look at their calendar, because that's where they spend their time, and look at their pocketbook, look at their balance sheet, look at where they spend money. And right now what it tells us is that we have a country of insanely overworked people. We're trained to think that 9 to 5 is a normal thing. We think that 40 or 50 hours a week is the norm, and that that's just what we have to do. But on top of that, since the pandemic, we also have people spending an average of 12 hours a day looking at screens between work and entertainment. So we clearly have time for all of that disconnect from real human beings and the real world. And on top of it, we have these 5 crazy graphs I'm going to show you. And once I do, I hope they alter your mindset in a way mine has been, because I'm telling you right now, this have it all lifestyle that I'm describing, that I have here represented on my channel, it is real, it is something you can achieve, it is something you can have, and I'm going to show you how. Time, the universal resource. Sahil Bloom, entrepreneur and social media influencer, recently compiled data about how the average person spends time across their lifetime. The results are humbling, shocking, and informative. And the first of the 5 graphs that he reveals is how much time we actually spend with family. Any guesses how many hours per day we throughout our life spend with those that we love and care about the most? So take a look at this graph and look at the amount of time that a person in their 30s spends with family. As best as I can tell, it's sitting right around 60 minutes a day, basically an hour, maybe a little more. Time with family is rarer than you would think. The amount of time people spend with parents and siblings dramatically declines during young adulthood, and we never really recover from it. It stays stagnant from 30 on throughout the rest of our life. Now, that's kind of weird because most people tout that family is one of the most important things to them, and yet, if you're only spending an hour a day with those family members, what does that really mean? 7 years from now, I'm actually going to be an empty nester. Like, my wife and I got a young start, but that's crazy to think about. So the next 7 years for me are really going to define between them and me what kind of father I was. How much time was I really willing to put forth? Was it enough time? Was it not enough time? I think one of my greatest fears is that my kids might grow up and say, my dad was too busy for me. And because dads often traditionally are the ones working, it's easy for kids to feel that way because we don't always remember reality as it was, but we remember life during its most challenging moments. And that's a question that I ask myself. Will my children, and will I also feel that I put all the time into them that they're deserved? Fortunately, the second graph talking about how much time we spend with our spouse looks a little bit different than family. That's basically broken out as like a core relationship with your significant other. And on this graph, time with your partner per day increases with time. Find your best match, never settle for anything less because you'll be spending a lot more time with them as it goes on. And you can basically see that as families form and as people really, find that significant other, they're spending about 3 hours a day with them. So maybe it's an hour a day with kids, siblings, parents, but 3 hours a day with the people that we love most. Here's my question for you. If you have someone in your life that you love, is 3 hours a day enough? Or does it feel kind of anemic? And that's part of the purpose of today's video is not for me to tell you what better balance would look like. It's for you to find your own balance. In my life, I have a private jet, so I don't waste time traveling. And just like this particular trip that I'm on with my family to Arizona, I'm at the GEM show with my wife, and I have all of my kids and all of our aides with us. So my kids are getting schooling, they're out playing, they're having fun, they're spending some time with us. But this is what my wife and I created. And this would enable us as a family to spend more time together. And to round it out, this next graph is about how much time we have with children. Now you'll see when they're kids, you could be spending up to 3, 4, or 5 hours a day with them, but then eventually they empty nest, they're gone. And if you live to be 80 years old, this is going to be a part of your life. It's not going to be your entire life. So while you've got them, make that magic count. The fourth graph has to do with time that we spend with coworkers. Did you know that you'll spend more time with your coworkers than maybe even the people at home that you live with? It's kind of crazy. What's weird though is 85% of us don't even like what we do for a living, which means that some of us maybe work at places where we feel forced to get along with people that frankly we don't like. All of these things energetically can keep us stuck, but also more importantly, feeling lack or this feeling of scarcity, saying, I wish I had more time on my terms. And if you don't, I want to invite you to click the link below because you are going to get an opportunity to learn how to master your financial future, because I'm going to show you how to master the game of time by being more intelligent with the money that you do have, because money has the power to solve time problems. This fifth graph is honestly what really caught me off guard. If you take a look at it, it's about how much time you spend alone with you. And I want to remind you that we're not always really good to ourselves. Some of the negative self-talk we have is definitely not empowering, it's not building. But check this out, while you're in your 20s and 30s, you could be spending 4 to 5 hours with yourself every single day. But if you take a look at what happens after that, in your 40s and your 50s, that time continues to increase. Now, at retirement, that would make sense. You're like, geez, I'm having 7, 8, 9 hours a day to myself. The question is, do I like who I am? Do I love who I'm becoming? Am I investing in becoming a pleasant or a kind or a loving or a nice or an empowering version of myself? If you're not, then depression and anxiety are probably going to increase the more time you spend alone, because it looks like this is a natural habit through life. You better fall in love and beast yourself into someone that you can really be proud of. Your fate is not final. These graphs don't have to dictate your destiny, but they do demonstrate the natural course of the average life. Take control of your destiny emotionally, financially, and with your relationships. It's never too late to prioritize the people that matter most, including yourself. And I'll just tell you that on a regular basis, the life that I'm living today, it feels very extraordinary. I have all of this growth in my life, all these amazing things that are happening. And it has to do with the way that I prioritize time and also with the way that I prioritize money. If you want to control your time, you need some extra money to be able to buy it back. Because frankly, having a different mode of transportation like a jet is because it's something I can afford. Or having a driver that drives me around, it's because it's something I can afford. Or if it's how I spend extra time with my wife every single Wednesday, or it's how I spend time with my kids. How is all of that balance achieved? It's because I learned how to master the game of money. And as I mastered the game of money, it allowed me to, yes, make my time more valuable, but it also allows me to then buy back the minutia, the activities, the meal prepping, the errand running, like the things that I just don't want to do. Listen, I didn't start rich. I started in debt with nothing. But in the link below, you have a chance to get a free copy of my book. It's called Have It All. And it's 5 simple things you do when you start from nothing that literally can take you to millionaire, or I kid you not, billionaire status. Those are some really huge claims, but the reason why I wrote the book is because of all of the astronomical growth that I've experienced in my life, including the $2 billion worth of real estate that I've transacted, or the hundreds of businesses that I own. I'm not an anomaly. The reality is I just got a different blueprint on how to control my time by also learning how to control money. And if you feel like you need an upgraded blueprint, I'm offering you one for free. If you're a subscriber, you know that I love to give value like crazy. Every week I drop 2,000 videos all over the internet, helping people get information like this. And then on top of that, free resources. That book is the 5th book I've written. It's a bestseller. And frankly, it feels like it's a great representation of my life's work, because what it does is it really shows how anyone in a normal financial situation with time can elevate themselves, where their time becomes so valuable that you become really the director of your entire future. Hey, thank you so much for joining me on today's little journey while I'm here in Arizona. The internet thinks that the video that you're gonna want from me next the most is this one right here. Click it and get started on the next step of your journey to becoming a financial genius.